Hello, hi. Today we're going to be making some Warhammer 40k terrain. Basically, I'm going to be showing you the ins and outs of doing the terrain. I'm going to be also showing you how to use foam cutter, how to paint it, put some gravel on it, glue it, the whole 9 yards. Um, I learned from experience using a box cutter to try and cut your terrain is not a great experience because I ended up with 6 stitches in my pinky finger about a month ago. So this is my reattempt on this video. I want to re-video everything, and then I'm going to show you guys how to do this within a reasonable budget where you're not spending too much money and saving in the long run. Due to the fact of, this game is not a cheap game to play. But you want to make the terrain easy, usable, and everything else. So I'll cut back and I'll show you how we do it. So basically the cost of this stuff is fairly cheap. I get a 2x2 square of styrofoam insulation for about $6-7 at Home Depot. These are paint samplers. They run about $3.29 a piece. I got some spray-on adhesive versus using the glue all, because everybody does like this water blend. It doesn't work the greatest. I tried doing it. It just doesn't work. The spray-on adhesive actually goes faster. It runs about $4 a can. This is a smaller can. Obviously, it's not the big can you get from Walmart or any crafting store, but it'll do the job. I got this gravel here. It's about $5 at Walmart. It's really easy to use, simple. It makes good rocky terrain. Local landscaping company, Willesic Landscaping here in Wisconsin Rapids, hooked me up with this bag of rocks for $1.06. Really? Well, hey, it works. It's mainly for the heavier pebbles, give it a little bit more rock formation on top of the foam, make it look good. That's what you use the Gorilla Glue for, is holding down the larger rocks. Mainly, it's easier for them to stick and adhere. I'm going to be using different kinds of brushes. I got this one, toothpicks to hold your foam together. Some people don't use them, some people don't. I believe it's easier. Apple barrel paint, 50 cents a bottle. Get it at Walmart, fairly cheap. And then you got the dried box cutter. This thing is really sharp, and it's good for just cutting out the squares of the foam. Don't use it to try and do your edges and stuff. Otherwise, you end up with 6 stitches in your pinky or cutting a finger off. It almost happened to me. And then last but not least, I have my Uber foam cutter. This is my brother's creation. It runs out of 12-volt battery charger. Usually most people got it by hand, but I'll show you when I'm cutting the foam how much nicer it is to have something like this and having it stationary to a table. It makes the cutting a lot easier and go faster. Alright, so then I'll get to this. I'll bust out a piece of foam. I'll show you how this is done. Pre-cut out a big piece of foam. I'm going to pretty much zip this guy in half. So I'm just going to go like this. Wait for it to get a little hotter. Now I got 2 small usable pieces. Take this guy right here. You want to keep it like a slight edge, so when you're carving, we can start right here. Give it a little bit more tilt, so a little bit more rock slide. Otherwise, you go down with an angle. But the biggest thing is you want to stay consistent with your angles. So you have more of a rocky, jagged face. More angle you put on it, the cooler it looks, kind of thing. Voila, you have a base. So I got that one done. We got like this stuff. You can always use this later. I'll show you what you can do with this in a little bit. So there's my base. Got little hairs and stuff, you're melting foam pretty much. So take that guy, stick it right there. Grab this one. Actually, I'm gonna go with the smaller piece. That another one I have here. This little guy, because I'm gonna make it like a 2-tier. So we're gonna go like this. Give it a little bit less angle. Just to trick it up a little, we go like this. You'll see why I did that in a minute when I start gluing everything together. We go like this. Do, 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 do. Ta-da. So now I got 2 tiers. Probably adjust them a little, make it fit. But then I got like a little 2-tier level that I can play with. The reason why I went with this, I curved this under, is because depending on how I decide to set this on here, like this or so, you want to make it so it looks kind of cool, but then you can also stick some rocks and stuff up under here when I start gluing everything down. Alright, so this is where this part ends. Give me a brief moment. I gotta unplug this beast of a foam cutter, and then we'll spray some glue down, get these two stuck together. I'm gonna show you why I got those handy little toothpicks, and we'll go from there. So I got this little nifty thing of toothpicks. Really comes in handy. Dollar General, literally. Crafting's fun. So basically, I'm gonna take these guys. I kind of know where I want to stick my chunk of rock. So I'm gonna go like this on the bottom side of this. I'm gonna take 2 of these guys, poke them in good and tight. You don't want them to pierce through the top, so you want to go like a little bit lighter. So make sure these don't pierce through. We're gonna take our can of Elmer's. Take this guy right here, just set that there. Now you're noticing I'm spraying the whole top of this. I'm getting a little bit on my hand. That's okay. Not the end of the world. You'll see in a minute. So, I got those in there. It's kind of where I want to go with those. So I'm going to go probably about right in the middle. Crap. That's okay. My hand's sticking to it. So I'll just probably just use the one. You notice that it's going through the top and the bottom. That's fine. Plus, I know it's not on there flat like this, but there's a reason why I did that. So this will be stuck like this. This is poking out of the bottom. I didn't really plan on that happening. That's okay. Go like that. Let that sit on there like this. Now, the really cool part is I can adjust this and spin this to where I want it, because there's enough glue on this that I'll take my can of glue again, spray the top of this. Now you guys are probably sitting there going, "Hey Frank, you're using too much glue." Well, no, I'm not. In reality, there's a reason why I'm using so much glue. So, I'm going to take that, we go over here, I'm stand up, showing you my nifty pretty thing here. You're going to have edges of foam and stuff on here. It kind of stuck. It looks almost like a cotton candy. That's because of the cutting and stuff. So it kind of sucks. When you're using this big of a foam cutter, it works fairly well, but it does have its drawbacks and whatnot. So now I'm going to take this, grab the used trusty pizza box. The reason why we're doing this, take this, I'm going to set this on the floor right over here. Like so. In here, I got some pre-rock I used before. It's already in here. The reason why I'm using the pizza box is I'll show you when I'm pouring this down on here, like so. Kind of shake this out a little. I'm edge it. Go like this, pour it back in. Never thought a used pizza box would come so in handy when you're doing crafting, but it is. Take that back on. And I hit all the spots I didn't get glue or rocks on. And of course, you got like some overspray and stuff, so you get some rocks on the side, which you kind of want. You want it to look as almost as real as possible, kind of thing. With the exception of a little bit of foam. Voila. And some of my edges, you notice there ain't no rocks there. It's gonna happen. You're not gonna get everything just perfect. But it's better than having nothing at all. Considering this stuff is really gritty. It's $5 a bag. It's better than using actual sand. So I'm gonna let this sit in here. Back in about 20 minutes. Let that fully dry, and then we're going to paint it up, add some more details and whatnot to it, so it'll look pretty cool. And then we'll go from there. So I'll see you guys in a little bit. Here's what I did while I was laying stuff dry. I played with some rocks and some Gorilla Glue, and I got this big foamy thing here. I kind of wanted to do that because it makes the terrain look a little bit off-worldish. So right here I got the trusty brush. I got some white paint. It's a pixel white. Like I said, it's really cheap to buy these. I already mixed it up already and stuff. So basically I'm gonna move this to here. Dip my brush in there good. Just pour a little bit on. I'm gonna just start going over this with the brush. Just get on the fluorescent tip. And basically I'm gonna pretty much go over all these rocks. Now you notice like some of the rocks are moving, which is okay. We kind of wanted to do that because it'll take some of the excess off, but it'll still be held down by the paint, which is a good thing, yet kind of a bad thing. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. You guys are going, why are you painting like this? Well, because painting rocks is kind of a pain in the butt. Texture is not your friend sometimes. It kind of sucks. Think of it this way, it's like trying to paint on gravel. It just doesn't work very well. Plus, I'm going for the snowy look. Kind of like a snowy mountain with some glaze kind of thing. So, we're just going to be painting away. Plus that, you get a good brush. This paint's really quick, fast, painless. I don't mind excess paint, because the thing is, when you use this much paint, you kind of want it to look good. You want it to soak into the foam too, especially like with the gravel. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. It's not a, see how like you got some of the rocks coming up, even though they were soaked in glue. Now I'm painting them on, and those rocks ain't gonna move at all, which we wanted to begin with. So spin this around. Because then I'm getting the, you know, it's going to have a little bit excess. And I don't mind excess, because the cool part is, even though I'm putting paint on this, I'm painting over all these rocks and got like a good puddle and stuff. The cool part is, you guys are going to love this. So, kind of got like this misty mountain, crunchy looking terrain, which is awesome. You got really white fingers. Make sure I hit my corners solid all the way around. So I got like this excess paint on. You guys are gonna laugh, but I'm gonna go like this. I'm gonna go in my handful of rocks here. Nice little handful of rocks like this. Paint kind of works like the glue does, which you kind of want it to do. Let that dry. Kind of went like a little over excessive with the paint, but that's okay. we're gonna let this dry. I might let this sit overnight, or at least for a good 2 hours, because I want to make sure everything soaks in. I've had experiences with using the other colors that it'll look a little funky and it won't look right. I'm kind of going for that mountainy, uneven, like there's stuff under here. You guys will sit fine on this. I'm old school. I believe that everybody's like, oh, you got to paint over the rocks. Well, no, some people want that rock look on their terrain. I mean, the other guys might sit a little funny, but it'll look cool. It'll look different. So I'm going to let this sit, let it dry, and then we'll go from to the next stage, which I will pretty much go through and shade all this stuff with some null oil to made by Citadel. I use that. I'll use just about maybe a quarter of a bottle to shade this, and it'll make everything kind of pop out and look different and look really good. So I'll be back in a little while after this monstrosity dries. All right, it's a little bit. So basically, you can tell my tire changed, and from the last chunk there, I kind of let it go. I put in a little too much paint, so I had to let this really sit and dry. I let it dry for a good 24 hours. You see it kind of like most of the foam is covered with the paint. With the excess painting, that's fine. So basically, I'm going to just add some shading using some null oil, and then I'm going to add probably a little bit of this granite color. I'm going to paint it on like this chunk of rocks that I filled in with the Gorilla Glue, and then kind of give that a little bit of a pop to it. And then I'm going to like shade the rest with null oil, and then we'll do that right now. Show you what we're doing here. So I'm going to take this. I got my handy painter's tray right here. The one right here. I'm using granite gray. It's apple barrel. It's like 50 cents at Walmart. So I'm going to just take a little bit of that. Pour that into there. Handy dandy brush. Just kind of like paint over this like lightly. Just kind of give it that like iceberg kind of look, like a big chunk of ice kind of thing. Remember, you can also use this terrain for other games like Malfo, Warhammer. God, there's so many other like miniature games, D&D, stuff like that. If you don't want to use tiles, just kind of want to do this, kind of like a nice light, kind of like go around this. It's kind of cool with the whole bubbling up with the Gorilla Glue, because it gives it kind of that weird goofy texture. Like I said, you don't have to use a lot for this little bit. And with the excess of paint, I was able to put some regular rocks on, and then they all stuck to the base, so I don't have to glue those down. So they won't come off very easily, because they're literally soaked into that paint, which is pretty cool. Helps out a lot. So I'm gonna go grab my my trusty shading brush. Oops, dropped the oil on one of my brushes. That's a big oops. Got an open bottle here. There it is. Let me take this. Everybody's like, use this in small doses. Well, I do it in small doses on miniatures, but like with like terrain, you kind of want to just give it a little bit of nice light coating. It soak up good. Also makes the rocks kind of pop out a little bit more. It gives the terrain a little bit more oomph behind it. Kind of gives it a cool shading. Some spots I want darker than others, especially on like the tops. Plus that looks really good on the rocks. Yeah, we're just gonna a little bit down here. Bit around this guy. You want some of this stuff to stick out. I mean, think of it as like post-apocalyptic nukes went off kind of look. There's gonna be a little bit of brown, a little bit of dark. I mean, not everything's perfect and pretty in any terrain. With it being white, you know, yeah, I'm using a really tiny brush, like I said, but I don't have much to really work with here because I'm just only highlighting just mainly the tops and a little bit of the sides. Stuff like that. Just want to give it a little bit of a look. Kind of like, you know, like blast damage kind of thing. Using a thinner brush like this ABS wash brush I got here. I got it at Walmart, really cheap. They're pretty much the cheapest place to get brushes. You can get all different kinds. I mean, I got tons of different ones. I do use Citadel brushes. But when you're doing like crafting stuff, you kind of want to go with a cheaper low-end brush. You don't need to spend a bunch of money on fancy brushes to paint styrofoam or rocks per se. Spread that out a little. It's already wet. Take it and spread it out. Make some of those corners pop. It's definitely make the rocks pop up. You can also use this stuff to hide your flaws if you didn't paint it enough in some spots. Stuff like that, you know. And voila. There it is. You got the kind of semi-burnt, snow-covered terrain. Pretty simple, pretty easy. You can always use like other colors, like in the palettes, for like the Warhammer stuff. Like you could always go with like a little bit of this. It's the Soulstone Blue. It's a technical. You can almost put that on top of here if you want to make that look more iceberg-ish. Stuff like that. So, in closing, I mean, in reality, you're going to spend money on a foam. If you want to get a decent foam cutter, go online, go on Amazon. I mean, I got a custom built one here. I mean, like I said, I'm just trying to make it look kind of cool. I'm trying to do something a little different. I don't want to shade everything black with the null oil. You kind of want to make it look your own unique way for whatever terrain you're using. But in closing, that's what you do. I mean, it's on the cheap. You can do it fairly cheap, really reasonable. You just got to hunt around for the stuff to use it. So, like I said, this is like my third actual piece of terrain I made that I actually got to work. So, in closing, that's pretty much it. This is my presentation for my class as well as for other people who want to do it on the cheap. You can have fun with it. Do it your own way, make it your own way, and go from there. Thank you so much for watching my video, and you guys have a great day.